Well, good evening, everybody. At least it's evening here. Glad to see you all here. We are having the Aquarius pre-full moon webinar. The actual full moon will be occurring, really close to midnight. It's January 24th at 12:05 a.m. At 1:45 a.m. and 40 seconds, and our broadcast, will begin close to midnight. Okay, so we begin at 12:05 on the morning of the 24th, bringing you the Aquarius exact full moon in music and image, and then about an hour and 40 minutes later, the actual Aquarius full moon occurs at 1:45:40 a.m. GMT, and in your chat box I've given you the link, though you probably received it in other ways. Well, this is the sign. This is the sign of the coming age, the short age of Aquarius, of approximately, it depends on how it's calculated. Some say it's 2160 years. That's an important figure. You sort of double that, the 216, and you get the root number of the yugas and all of the kalpas and all of the great spans of time. Because it seems that Aquarius is the sign that governs very much the science of cycles. So we have the short age of Aquarius coming up, and then perhaps in a few hundred years, or, well, who's to say, because Master DK says that our human science is not yet capable of reckoning the date, then the 25,000 year plus age of Aquarius, great age of Aquarius, the great Platonic year, will begin. And then the entire cycle will go through all the 12 signs of the zodiac, with Aquarius being the preeminent, all-pervading constellation sign of that great Platonic year. It's really closer in some ways of reckoning to 26,000 years, but 25,000 years will do. What will we all be doing by that time? It's my wish that we will be members of the spiritual hierarchy of the planet and will know a lot more about how to help this planet become a sacred planet. As you see over here in the banner for Aquarius, there are three rulers. The seventh ray soul planet, Uranus, is the exoteric ruler of Aquarius. But of course there's more to it than that, because it's also in a way the highest of the hierarchical rulers veiled by the moon. But that's another matter involved with perhaps the technicalities of esoteric astrology. The esoteric ruler is second ray Jupiter, and the hierarchical ruler is the moon. And in this particular sign, the moon veils all three of the usually veiled planets. It veils Vulcan for the physical nature, it veils Neptune for the emotional nature, it veils Uranus for the mental nature. And of course there are probably some higher meanings there as well, because the third initiation is often taken in or under the sign Aquarius, and these are the planets that will be important at that time, one way or another. We will become the transfigured initiate under Aquarius, and that's also true of Capricorn as well. Really, I suppose it's possible to take any initiation in any sign, but there is a tendency, I would say, for certain signs to represent certain initiations most completely. Let's just say that Leo represents the first initiation, Scorpio archetypally represents the second, and Capricorn the third, although, as I say in the sign Aquarius, the third and fourth initiation, maybe even the fifth, are possible to take. Water of life am I, poured forth for thirsty men. Well, we all want to be nourished by the great energies which are the waters of life. And these energies are coming from the cosmic etheric planes, the Buddhic, the Atmic, the Monadic, the Logoic planes. These are the cosmic ethers, and over all four of those higher planes we could say that the sign Aquarius rules in general, and certainly the planet Uranus rules over them. So this is a sign of great spiritual vitality, great livingness. The seventh ray age in which we are going to enter is going to be a spiritually, etherically vital age. And we will find our etheric vehicle galvanized into extraordinarily intense activity because of Uranus and the sign Aquarius. Aquarius is one of the major rulers of the etheric body, along with Gemini, both of them air signs. We see here the Jafra illustration, amazing man, how he managed to capture so much of these signs. He seems to be quite hermetic in his understanding. We have the water carrier. All of us eventually, as the world's server, are going to be the water carrier. I guess it's an effort to hold that big urn of water on our shoulders. The Tibetan tells us one day it will be coming out of the top of our head, and we will be perfect exemplars of the law of service, the third law of the soul. But, once we have built the Antakarana and connected with the cosmic ethers, we will be in a position really to dispense the waters of life, and they will be very healing energies. You can see that the 7 lotuses are below, and they represent the 7 major chakras, or even the 7 chakras within the head, and all of them have to be nourished in an individual sense. But of course they have to also be nourished in a planetary sense, where maybe only 5 of the planetary chakras are really active at this time, but eventually this great universalizing energy of Aquarius will nurture all of the planetary chakras and help transform our planet into a sacred planet. There's a lot of idealism in this sign, a lot of utopian vision, you might say. You notice if we pass through the jaws of death, which in a way is to pass through initiation, we do see the shining city on the hill. I was always amused when Ronald Reagan, who was an Aquarian, and a president of the United States, which many people have looked up to, especially if you're Republicans, he always talked about the shining city on the hill. And this is the ideal of utopia. Sir Plato may have been an Aquarian. There's a lot of suggestion that he could have been. Sir Thomas More, a great Aquarian, wrote his Utopia. Sir Francis Bacon wrote his New Atlantis, which was utopian. Somehow the Aquarian people have this utopian vision of all the things that may be if things are rightly improved. Of course, we have to pass through that concretion, that we have to defy death to reach that state. But we might say that the spiritual hierarchy of our planet lives in that shining city on the hill. What's it called? Is it the city that stands 4 square, and then the New Jerusalem, that kind of thing. So eventually we all will, and this will be a planet in which all the energies are rightly circulated. But right now, of course, we have a lot of problem with right circulation, and that's one of the very first things that's going to have to be managed as we enter the age of Aquarius under Saturn. There is that interesting little sort of picture of this strange sun with a look on its face. And strangely enough, physiognomy, I think, is a real and coming science, and I've noticed that kind of look in the eyes and face of many Aquarian people. Don't take it personally, okay? And it is interesting. Now, Francis Donald has given us these wonderful images of Aquarius. It almost looks Kuan Yin-like. This is the great bearer of the world, upholding the world in service. And he says a few things about this which I think are worth really looking at here. He says this is the great Aquarian archetype, the ultimate water carrier. I mean, it's a very powerful constellation, and there's even a constellation hidden behind the constellation Aquarius, which is the source of tremendous energy. Everyone alive today is touched by her hand. See, that's the Kuan Yin part. For the vessel she carries is now well within the influence of this great sign, and that vessel is the Earth, right? It is a soul awakening influence. And then we have here a section from Alice Bailey, the water carrier, another name for the world's server, which we all hope we are, is found in every land and in every great city. They work on all the different rays. They express many points of view. Their field of service is widely differing. They all carry the pitcher containing the water of life, and they all emit the light in some degree throughout their environment. One day in Aquarius, it just pours from your head center. That is the great urn, you might say. But you have to earn it, and that's spelled a little differently. To you who live and work in this interim period between these two ages, and in this cycle of transition, with all its resultant outer chaos and upheaval, maybe inside it's better, is given the task of expressing steadfastness, service, and sacrifice. This is from the Destiny of the Nations. Let's take another look at that beautiful image. The Earth seems to glow there, and the Earth has a second ray soul, and somehow this carries the great second ray, that image of the Earth with its mostly blue coloring. Jupiter. So Jupiter, the heart of the sun, Aquarius, these are important ideas. Jupiter, the esoteric ruler. The particular head center that corresponds to the heart center of the cosmic being, here depicted, radiates the energy of Jupiter. Aquarius, esoteric ruler, which draws into expression the heart of the sun, thus awakening the soul aspect in all humanity. What is the heart of the sun? Well, it has different definitions. It can relate to a certain great center on the cosmic astral plane. It can also relate to the great soul of our solar logos. It has different meanings. The sun used to be called the eye of Jupiter. That's from the secret doctrine. And ray 2 is transmitted via Jupiter and the sun, and these are the most powerful transmitters. And here is a kind of a definition of the heart of the sun. This meditation will result in, that's parenthetical, the realization of the true significance of light, and the revelation of the meaning of what has been called in esoteric books the heart of the sun. A different definition offered here, which is the inner point of life in all manifested forms. Illumination of the mind will be seen to be direct and infallible. Aquarius, one of the intuitive signs in its higher brackets. Aquarius, it will, through the effect of its potent force, stimulate the astral bodies of men into a new coherency, especially in the third decanate of Aquarius under Venus, into a brotherhood of humanity which will ignore all racial and national differences and will carry the life of men forward into synthesis and unity. It is, after all, a great sign of universality. I love that word. It can mean sort of solar systemic consciousness, or it can mean an ever-expanding outreach into ever greater spheres within our universe. And anyway, we are all striving towards a greater degree of universality. This means a tide of unifying life of such power. Look at that. A tide. There's a sort of a water image, only as an energy image. A tide of unifying life of such power that one cannot now vision it, but which in 1,000 years would have, okay, 1,000 years, that'll be right in the Mercury decade of Aquarius, which in 1,000 years will have welded all mankind into a perfect brotherhood. Its emotional effect will be to purify the astral bodies of men so that the material world ceases to hold such potent allure, and may in its later stages bring about the state of exaggeration, is that what it says? As potent in the line of sentiency as that which we have undergone in the line of materiality. Oh, looks like we'll have some emotional issues during the age of Aquarius, but then under the guidance of Mercury and Venus, two very powerful mental planets, in a way we will see our way through. Okay, so that is one of the, and Francis, of course, he's always sharing here with us. He's done some great work, and I hope you're all following to his sacred geometry webinars, which we've been offering every month. So, okay, now there's another image, very beautiful, and this is, if I can get there, it's kind of the picture of group consciousness. It's the picture of the master and his inner circle and increasingly wide concentric circles. I guess people in the Waysack Valley find themselves positioned according to their initiatory status, and this seems to be suggest something of the same kind. And there's something said here about that, and I think it's worth looking at here from the heart of the master. In Aquarius, the man awakens to the beauty of group life, to group interest, and to his individual responsibility towards the group, and thus begins to live his life and to spend himself in the service of humanity. You know, I was thinking how many of us, when we describe what our identity is, of course that's a huge question, move from the individual to the group and feel that our identity really is more the group than it is being the individual, and then ever expanding until, of course, the one comes in. Imagine a group of people sitting around a central figure. This is the master. The various facial expressions, physical types, ages, clothing, each give us insight into their personalities. Okay, that's the physical vision. Now imagine that we lift our vision from the denser subplanes and visualize the etheric realm. The scene shifts dramatically. The physical vehicles of our group grow dark, for here the light comes from a different source. Glowing, energetic matrices, vibrant with the color and quality of the group, overlay the dense physical forms. You can just kind of imagine that. You know, when you imagine your co-workers and so forth, how do you imagine them? With the face and form they have, or do you see deeper? Do you see into their energy system? Do you see them in their causal body, as it were? So we have to get used to looking at each other in a deeper way. With our inner eye now open, we see a master sitting at the center of his group of disciples. Those on the outer periphery are only faintly aware of his presence, but the initiates who sit in the inner circle, immediately around the master, know him well, for they have worked for incarnations to attune to his aura. That's a very necessary thing, and one has chosen to cooperate with the master if one really seeks to carry out the will of that particular master, and this you can't know if you can do that except through attunement to what that master may be. This alignment, known as being, quote, close to the master's heart, enables these initiates to consciously direct the energy of love wisdom that flows through their master and from the master of masters, the Christ. And Francis here has a beautiful image of the seven serpents meeting as one, a sort of Pythian vessel. Let's take a look at it here. Here's the side view of the seven merging into one, and here is the here is the top view. An important image. So let's see. Well, there's much to say here, and I'm concerned that we may try to say too much at the moment. But this about the second ray of love wisdom, because Aquarius, though not especially a second ray sign, does have a powerful second ray coming through its ruler, Jupiter. And of course, it represents the universality which you can relate to the second ray. So here is an ascent of hearts. It's rather interesting because Aquarius does rule the circulatory system directly related to the heart. So rays 1 and 2 are involved in both the heart and the circulatory system, the life and the interconnectedness, the cohesiveness of all life. So anyway, the ray of love wisdom, the ray of the esoteric planetary ruler of Aquarius, expresses itself through what Francis calls a breathtaking line of ascent. Okay, the disciple's heart center, just imagine this, the disciple's heart center, your own heart center. The heart center in the head. The egoic lotus, which until the fourth initiation is the heart center of the monadic life, and that is a 12-fold demonstration except for its core, which makes the 13th. And then, I would have to add in here the, he will say it, the master at the center of his group, the Christ is the heart center of hierarchy, and the life of the monad, which begins to make itself felt at the third initiation, and that too is a 12-fold center. And then the Lord of Life himself, the great example, the great heart, Sanat Kumara expressing particularly at this time the second sub-ray of the first ray. And then we could go to the heart of the Solar Logos, the heart of the sun, and on, rising through the heart centers. This line of relationship, says the Tibetan, then extends from these onward and outward and upward, spherically considered, to the life at the very center of the Earth's alter ego, the planet Venus. Now, think about Venus for a minute, because Venus may have a fifth ray soul, okay, but it has a sixth ray sub-monad, and probably ultimately a second ray monad, thus eventually a great heart center within our solar system. And then on to Jupiter, which is the present heart center within our solar logos, and on to the solar Lord himself. The solar Lord himself, who is a great heart center within our local cosmic logos, known as the 7 solar systems, of which ours is one. And then finally on to Sirius, which for us is the cosmic Christ. Well, the cosmic Christ can ever expand, of course, but, for our local system, we can consider that Sirius carries a great cosmic Christ energy. Well, many, many beautiful things are said here, but it's time for us, I think, to move into meditation. Yes, beautiful things said here. Well, it's all the second ray line, and the second ray line leads us into hierarchy. We have to, we live on a great second ray planet from the soul perspective. And while Aquarius does have a lot of the third ray, interestingly enough, and the fifth ray, very mental in a certain respect, it does represent this great sense of universality and cohesiveness, which brings in the second ray as well. So if we want to become a true member of the spiritual hierarchy of our planet, we have to cultivate the great radiatory, inclusive love of the heart. This is our great objective, and we leave behind, in a way, strictly speaking, the intelligence that is found on our planet, still very necessary, and we enter the true second ray soul of our planetary logos and become responsive to the love of the universal Aquarian, as it is called. Okay, friends, that should be enough of an introduction. There's so much that one can say about these things. But anyway, we go on to our pre-full moon Aquarius solar fire meditation. So we are, I think right now we could say we're in a day of aspiration. We'll be moving quite soon into a day of dedication. The different parts of the human personality are oriented towards the great privilege of receiving and holding and safeguarding the descending energy. You are very much the Aquarian vessel, through the chalice, through your causal body. You receive these energies and into your head center, and from thence distributed to all of the different chakras, and until we connect all of them together and become integrated and fused with the great etheric body of the planet and the solar system surrounding us. And then after the full moon coming up on the 24th at 1:45 a.m. and 40 seconds, we have our possibility of distributing these energies to humanity. So right now we are aspiring upward and inward toward these great energies, which maybe we can, begin to feel and get the sense of brotherhood, sisterhood, connectedness, all of us being united into one living organism. So we're not really the personality, it is our instrument, and our truer nature is something of the extended soul consciousness. We are the soul in incarnation. We withdraw then from identification with the outer form and from identification with our astral sensation, our attractions, our repulsions, our desires, and then pulling inward still more the many thoughts we may have. These can be useful, but they are not essentially what we are. We are the observer within the personality, and as we emphasize the observer more and more, we find ourselves, in a way, the observer of the entire personality, outside the personality. We begin to merge into a world of light, of love, of spiritual power. It's always there. And that becomes our truer world, into the world of the soul. Which is, in a sense, always a group soul. The soul is only apparently individual, it's really a group entity. And ultimately it's consciousness of the entire universe. But at first, our group, we get the sense of the group. We're all together in this as souls. All a part of each other. As souls. Touching each other, really, wherever we may live geographically, as souls. And whether we're in the body or out of the body, we are with each other. as souls. There's no one really outside the range of true soul consciousness. So we merge ourselves in the sense of the group soul. And our togetherness is very strong. We imaginatively unite with the soul, with all the spiritually minded people of the world, all the men and women of goodwill. They are not remote. The new group of world servers is not remote. It's all right here. All our fellow servers right here. And we visualize this sense of the group of spiritually inclined people merging into all human beings as souls, into the one soul of humanity. Realizing as best we can that there is no my soul or thy soul, but only the soul, and then the ancient Ray 2 mantra, naught is but me, in the capital sense, that one identity. Just dwell on that for a few moments. Naught is but me. And there just are no boundaries that present any insuperable barrier between you, me, anyone else. And that me or that I, it begins to mean something quite different than our usual understanding of it. And as the universality of Aquarius grows in our consciousness, then we become very inclusive. He talks about the universal love of the developed Aquarian. Naught is but me. We have, as it were, a group point of tension on the mental plane. The will of the soul feeds it. It's a point of departure for the group Antikarana, point of projection. We focus in that group mental unit, fed by the 7 aspects of soul: will, all of these qualities which as souls we develop in some degree: the will to initiate, the will to unify, the will to evolve, the will to harmonize, the will to act, the will to cause, and the will to express. Our point of group tension, all of us gathered together in a mental focus at the group mental unit, is strengthened by the will aspect of the group soul. And so we can individually and as a group project a bridge of light, an antakarana, into the interior spheres. A dual-colored bridge for each of us, the color of our soul ray and the color of our personality ray. You can visualize this how you like. The colors are there for you to see. First ray red, second ray indigo, third ray green, fourth ray yellow, fifth ray orange, sixth ray silvery rose or light blue, seventh ray violet. These are some of the colors which we can use to build our imaginative bridge. So visualize your own dual-colored bridge. Blending its qualities with the bridges of all other group members. From the visualization point of view, it's as if this bridge, multicolored bridge, rises into the mental permanent atom, stimulating our abstract mind, into the Buddhic permanent atom, stimulating our intuition as we eventually coordinate the Buddhic vehicle, into the Atmic permanent atom, stimulating our spiritual will as we eventually coordinate the Atmic vehicle. This multicolored cone-like bridge rising from the group into the monad. We can visualize this as a blue-white diamond into the realm of being itself. So we're going to use the second ray word of power. I see the greatest light. And we'll imagine at this point of group and individual attention, or tension rather, we will project the white beam of light along the bridge and into the point of pure being, the monad itself. So, we sound a second ray note outwardly, and inwardly we think to ourselves, I see the greatest light. See the greatest light. It's the light of Shambhala, the unfettered enlightenment of Shambhala. It's carried by Taurus. It's carried as illumination under Leo, the will to illumine, into our spiritual will, into our intuition, into our abstract mind, and throughout our soul consciousness, and into our head center and heart center and all the chakras, connecting to the greatest light. And just as the masters live in that world in a way ruled by Aquarius, the hierarchical sign, that world where they see things truly as we aspire to do. So when we salute our elders, beginning with the Christ, as their consciousness resides within the cosmic ethers, we stand with them in that alignment, trying to receive as a group something of the energy of these inspiring cosmic ethers. The objective of our spiritual aspiration, for now at least, and taking us out of the realm where so many things are not really alive, into the realm where everything is alive. The cosmic ethers. And so we will stand in solidarity with our elder brothers, the members of the hierarchy, sound the Om, and offer our cooperation, our salutations, salutations to the Christ, the Master of all Masters. Salutations to the triangle of masters with whom we most closely work. Master Morya, Master Kuthumi, Master Jwal Kul. Then one by one. Salutations to the Master Morya, the head of all esoteric schools and organizations. Salutations to Master Kuthumi, whose ashram is most responsible for preparation for the reappearance of his brother, the Lord Maitreya, the Christ. Salutations to the Master Jwal Kul, who has given us the blue books, who is training us as aspirants for the process of initiation. Salutations to your own Master as you know him to be or conceive him to be. Salutations to the entire spiritual hierarchy of the planet. And especially all the Chohans of the ashrams and their subsidiary groups. One great heart center of the planet. And then together, imaginatively as a group, we raise our thought to the center where the will of God is known. And with deepest reverence and in all humility, we attempt, identified as a group soul, to attune to the presence of Sanat Kumara, the Lord of the world, the King, standing at the center of Shambhala. A great sense of the purpose and of the will of the planetary logos comes to us as much as we can absorb it, and especially as a group. And we sound a long, inward, silent Om as we attempt to be imbued as a group by his energy, this great energy of purpose and of divine will. Inwardly, a long, silent Om. If we could but respond to the spiritual will, which is atmic in its nature, our entire lives would be changed. Group life, individual life. So, through the sacrificial will of the soul and upward to the spiritual will of Atma, and finally that most inscrutable will of all for us, the will of Sanat Kumara as he represents the planetary logos. So we hold this alignment as we gather together at a point. We drop all our usual identifications and we gather together, all of us, at a point of spiritual light, spiritual love, spiritual power. We will begin our upward ascent together. We use the visualization that there is a beam of golden light, a pathway into the indigo sun. And we are all together. We don't have extension, we don't have space. We are all together at a point. Hovering above the pathway, the golden pathway which shortens and shortens, as if being retracted into the indigo sun, and we travel with it, until we find ourselves imaginatively within this indigo sun of love, wisdom. And here we imagine that we meet with the consciousness of Master DK, that great expert in the planetary, zodiacal, and creative hierarchical energies. And we seek to offer ourselves as a group to become outposts of his very expansive consciousness, so that we can understand these planetary, stellar, and cosmic energies now available. So we begin to encounter them. We're going to meet the three planetary rulers of the constellation Aquarius. We're going to meet the ray of Uranus, which is the exoteric ruler, and it conveys the capacity to reinvent and renovate the energy patterns through which humanity and the individual express themselves. There's always a better way, and Uranus finds it. We're going to meet that ray from the turquoise planet. We're going to meet the being Jupiter, the esoteric ruler, conveying the power to achieve spiritual growth and fulfillment through loving group cooperation, inclusiveness. We're going to meet the inclusive ray of Jupiter. And then we're going to meet, symbolically at least, the moon. Not really the moon, but symbolically. And in doing that, we'll meet the veiled Vulcan, the veiled Neptune, and the veiled Uranus. We'll meet Vulcan, rendering the etheric physical body a strong and fit instrument for soul expression. We will meet Neptune, suffusing the emotional body with the Buddhic principle of love. We will meet Uranus, transforming the mind, perhaps transfiguring the mind, as ordinarily used, into the truly occult mind. These are living deities. They are always here. They are aspects of the solar deity, and their presence is intensified for us on Earth at this time. So just for a moment, visualize. You've probably seen the images of the planets. Uranus, it's rather greenish-blue color, turquoise. The great Jupiter, this red spot. The moon, of course, but Vulcan unseen, fiery Vulcan. Very deep blue Neptune. And again Uranus. All veiled. It's not so much the images, it's the energy. But if the image can help convey the energy to us, then so be it. So first, we will meet and try to absorb the exoteric ruler, Uranus. It's really the home of electric fire, meaning it has a first ray monad, seventh ray soul. So we focus on the great alchemist. It is the great alchemist of the seventh ray, the Uranian power to transmute, transform, transfigure, and translate. When we use that term translate, it takes us into the cosmic ethers, leading to the reordering of the lower worlds according to the pattern in the heavens, the archetypal pattern, reordering the lower worlds according to the archetypal pattern. A great reconfiguration of forces must occur. And the conditions of things as they are cannot remain as they are, but must be rearranged. transmuted according to the pattern in the heavens. Each one of us does this in his own particular life. So our true name is expressed through our vehicles. And then we do it in our groups, and then our nations, and then humanity does it. The ray of Uranus. Everywhere. Things need to be improved. Everywhere. So we bring this Uranian stream into our groups, into humanity. We open our consciousness to this. Let's confine it to our groups for a moment. What could Uranus do in the groups with which we work to so improve conditions that they more resemble the group archetype, what is intended to be, than is at present the case? So we bring this Uranian energy in through us, into our groups, and somehow see the transformation occurring under this violet ray. We'll use the note B, sometimes associated with the violet ray, and see some kind of Uranian transformation occur within the groups with which we work. We should never forget that though it's a very much 1357 planet, Uranus brings in the Sirian energy and has a second ray connection. Something of a mystery. We all want to be what we really are, and Uranus takes us there. Now, we'll move on to the planet Jupiter, the largest of the planets and maybe the one closest in nature to the Sun, to our Sun, almost a star. Maybe visualize the glyph of Jupiter. It looks something like a number 4. The great planet. And we ponder on its power as the esoteric ruler of Aquarius to bestow this something that we're always looking for, this fullness of group consciousness and of group love. This power which enlarges and unfolds the group causal body and builds in and completes the realization of group soul. Jupiter is so important in Aquarius as the conveyor, in this sign particularly, of life more abundant, the great Jupiter. So we ponder on these things. Enfolding the group consciousness, group love, group cohesion, group expansion, group unfoldment. Ever enlarging our understanding, our horizon towards the universal. Somehow there's that sense of omnipresence associated with Aquarius, and when Jupiter is involved, it's as if we can embrace the whole and be everywhere. It's not so far-fetched, because the Tibetan has told us that the truly harmless person is one who realizes himself to be everywhere. So certainly we can begin to feel ourselves pervading our group and our groups. And our pervasions just grow and expand and continue. And the more group love we have, the easier it is to feel oneself to be everywhere in the group. And on and on. So let's bring this energy of Jupiter into our groups, excuse me, into our groups, into humanity. We'll feel ourselves as a group to be the conduit of this basically second ray energy coming in. We'll use one of the second ray notes, G, and we'll imagine this group love, this group inclusiveness, this group presence, this group unfoldment occurring. We'll see it happening in our imagination as we sound the Om on a second ray note. So really, our life is the group life. And our life is the life of humanity. It's as if there's nowhere where a human being is, as a soul, nowhere that you are not. The Christ is the great master of this ability of including all and identifying as all. So feel that group cohesiveness really growing, magnetically fusing us all together. No separation, overcoming the great heresy of separateness. And finally, we will move on to the moon. Not really the moon, but rather fiery Vulcan, giving us the radiance of the etheric physical atoms. How vibrant we will be, Vulcan controlling the law of vibration. That's part of the transfiguration of the human personality. And then Neptune, the transcendent love, finding its way into the astral body. And then occult brilliance finding its way into the mental body under Uranus. Imagine ourselves like this, truly a Vulcan, Neptunian, Uranian, transfigured personality. What an improvement that would be. If we could draw upon these veiled energies, strong, sensitive, brilliant, same said for the groups. Same said eventually for all of humanity. Let's imagine us drawing in this transfiguring power. into our groups. And as a synthesis, we'll simply use the second ray note, or maybe I'll use a fifth ray note, the A, an orange, or sometimes a deeply indigo note. I'll use the A because it's the fifth ray, which is so powerful at the illumination, the enlightenment, the transfiguration. When the luminosity of the personality is so tremendously increased by this most luminous of all the ray lords. So we'll see in our groups this inflow of these three energies, raising the personality to a pitch much higher than is presently the case for most of us at most times. And one day under Aquarius, which is a potent fifth ray constellation, we will all find our way into that luminescence of luminiferous fire, which will represent the truly enlightened, transfigured personality. The Solar Logos is the source of these great beings. They represent chakras in his nature. It is the God of love in whom we live and move and have our being, whose outer vehicle is the sun, whose nature is at the heart of every atom, in our universal space, the solar system being our first universe. All of us find our home within the sun. As monads. So with that great sense of loving universality in the second ray soul and second ray personality, and maybe ultimately second ray monad of our Solar Logos, we see this great God of love, wisdom, in whom we all live and move and have our being, whatever planet we may live on. Just on this second ray Om, let's get a sense of this universality. in which, as spirits, we are deeply immersed, even if we don't realize it as personalities. With a sense of universality. Our God is a consuming fire, the fire of love wisdom. We're all consumed in the fire of love wisdom. And it's in this way that we move our thought on to the great constellation Aquarius, represented by the sign Aquarius. Aquarius, the water bearer, radiating a peculiarly beautiful quality of light. Aquarius, the light that shines on earth across the sea. This is the light which ever shines within the dark, and cleansing with its healing rays that which must be purified until the dark has gone. How very beautiful. Esoteric Astrology, page 330. Ponder on that for a moment. The light that shines on earth, right through the ethers and the physicality, across the astral sea, across the sea. And there are higher correspondences too. This is the light which ever shines within the dark, and cleansing with its healing rays that which must be purified until the dark has gone. It's the Aquarian Christ who has said, no matter how black our sins may be, He will wash us clean. And we can see the Aquarian energies would be involved in this way. Great energies are on their way. Fifth ray Aquarius. It's sometimes considered to be seventh ray, but the seventh ray 2500-year cycle simply corresponds at this time with the Aquarian cycle. But the constellation actually brings us the fifth ray, particularly, and the other planetary rays. Really is so universal it brings everything. Climactic in many senses. And so in the silence, we will ponder on this mantram, which will grow in intensity over the next day or so and then be used for distribution during the 3 following days. Water of life am I, poured forth for thirsty men. And will attempt to grasp its deeper meaning, its esoteric meaning, its significance in your life, in the life of your groups, in the life of your cities and nations, in the life of humanity. It has, of course, its solar systemic meaning, but we'll confine it to Earth. Water of life am I, poured forth for thirsty men. When such energies are poured into the great field of etheric energies, they archetypalize those energies and make them conform to divine purpose. Water of life am I, poured forth for thirsty men. Every one of us has to become the water of life that we already are and pour it forth. When we manage to pour this forth through our energy system, through our groups, everyone we contact will be uplifted. Their lives will be made better. They will improve. When the great serving, uplifting energy pours through us. Water of life am I. Poured forth for thirsty men. Imagine what this will be like during the age of Aquarius, the ordering, illumination, and bringing into brotherly love of the human race. Don't we all thirst for that? So during this coming day, whatever it is for you, probably another something 25 hours or so before our actual full moon, exact moment. Just imagine yourself as this living, vibrant, outpouring, cleansing, redeeming, uplifting, vitalizing energy, improving through the power of your aura. Everything you touch, every one you touch, just by being what you are. These energies come from a great distance. In a way, there is no distance, but they come from a great distance. They begin with the one about whom naught may be said, our local one about whom naught may be said, which we can correlate with the great cluster of the Pleiades. And at the very center of the Pleiades is the great star of individuality, Alcyone, particularly associated with the constellation Aquarius. And there's a great connection between Aquarius and the entire human head center, maybe between the constellation Aquarius and that great cluster. There's a profound third ray in Aquarius, just as there is in the Pleiades. But at least Aquarius holds its place in the heart within the head center of the great supercosmic logos, our one about whom naught may be said. And there is then a descent into our local cosmic logos, the 7 solar systems, of which ours is one. Perhaps one of the stars in that grouping particularly receives Aquarius, but eventually our sun, our solar logos, as the heart center of that cosmic logos, receives the great Aquarian energy. Leo Aquarius, very important in our solar system. Then on to Uranus and Jupiter, Vulcan, Neptune. I don't really mention the moon. It's a symbol. And into Shambhala under the law of assembly, into our planetary scheme and our chain and our globe, into our Shambhala, into every monad, at which we all are an example, an extension of the One, into every monad, into every soul, into every personality via the chakra system, distributed through every channel, nerve, nadi. The great symbol of universality, this energy flows throughout, omnipresent. We're bathing in the great Aquarian energies. It will only intensify over the next 25 hours or so. Just as you live your life, just be aware of that. We're in this tremendous ocean of energies. And there's no way to separate one thing from another. You know, Aquarius doesn't really allow that. The higher form of Aquarius. The energy reaches everywhere. Everywhere. It reaches all over our planet. And certainly we're in need of the right use of the Aquarian energy. You can use it incorrectly too, of course. But on our planet there are so many problem areas. You know, we've been going through these Ask Project meditations. Every country, about 70 countries so far, we've been dealing with. Every one of them has their problems, some far more severe than others. And that cleansing Aquarian energy has to reach in there and re-archetypalize the conditions, the conditioned relationships. Maybe right now we can visualize a particular area of humanity's difficulty. Choose what you like. Just imagine the Aquarian energies coming in with their planetary representatives, with their rays, re-archetypalizing conditions so they more truly resemble what they're supposed to be. Choose a place, choose a problem. And we'll sound the Om 3 times and visualize that problem moving towards solution under the impact of the Aquarian energies. Just use your creative imagination proactively with respect to these energies that are coming in, and direct them, selflessly direct them towards the improvement of whatever conditions you see need improvement. We're looking for the right design in the etheric body of humanity. It will be eventually a pattern of triangles, and anything you can do along the work for triangles fits very much into Aquarius. Aquarius and Gemini, two air signs. Aries, Taurus, Gemini. Aries, Pisces, Aquarius. The third ray is involved. The triangles are created, and we're helping to make our planet a sacred planet. So friends, we'll sound the great invocation together. I always should have it up, of course, but and you know it by heart, but maybe I don't. Not always, not always. Okay. And I'll bring it up for us. And we will visualize light, love, and power flowing into the etheric body of the planet. That's our first area of redemption, the etheric body. Okay, here we go. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. The energies will intensify, friends, so remember it's 1:45 and 40 seconds a.m. on the GMT on the early morning of the 24th. You in the United States and also in Canada, South America, etc., you'll have an earlier time on the day before, the 23rd, and for Australia and New Zealand it will be the 24th, and here in your chat box should be your link for that. So I'd like to thank you all for attending this pre-full moon webinar. Please be with us. Tuya will lead the service meditation, music, images, and the exact moment work. And let's build this up. We have another 25 hours or so. And let's just attempt to feel the universality of Aquarius until we really realize ourselves to be everywhere. That's quite a feat, and Aquarius can help us do that. So thank you very much, and good evening, good morning, good day, good afternoon to everybody, and we look forward to seeing you at the exact moment full moon meditation, or if you have your own groups, and many blessings upon the work you do there. We'll all be together inevitably anyway. Okay, all the best to everyone. Many blessings. See you soon. Bye-bye.